So what we're going to do is look at the future dynamics. Okay? How the work-life balance will look in 2030 and where you fit in as an intuitive sensitive. So what we're going to do is fast forward to the year 2030, which isn't very far away. Now, what I'm about to show you is everything that I've been doing, everything that I've spent the last 20 years doing and being committed to, and stepping over those things that stop you from doing it. And as we've just seen, in one person's bravery to express that true level of vulnerability that remains quiet and silent and unexpressed. But in actual fact, that vulnerability that we have a huge amount of respect for. We've just seen it. And what I'm about to show you is where all of your efforts have been going and how long it will be before those efforts start to be seen. And they start to be seen in your own world, and they start to be seen as they start to be seen in the outer world. Now, for me, I'm sharing this with you because I was really excited when I looked at this and read it. Because all of those times when I thought, is it really worth it? Is it really a pipe dream to imagine that there is a world for sensitive people? That is it really something that's coming, or is it something that I am hoping rather than actually is? And for my own life, since a very, very early time, I would say that right here would be the very last place that anyone, when I was a child, would expect me to be. No one would have expected me to be sat here talking to you. No one would expect me at all to do what I do. Because I was the child that never spoke. I was the child that was so afraid that my parents thought I was mute. I was the child who had various different things going on in terms of physical things. I was covered in eczema, absolutely covered in eczema, right up to the age of 25. No, probably less, more than that, 25, 26. To the extent where, yes, I was called all the things under the sun. And I think you've probably seen, where I showed you quite clearly, I was called the leper. I was called all kinds of stuff. I had a medical condition where I couldn't even switch lights on. I had to switch them on with my elbow. I was even told that I shouldn't really be taking any exams because I had a condition where my hands, because of a nervous system type thing, used to drip water to the extent I wasn't even hot. They used to literally drip water. And if I went like that, I'd get someone on the other side of the room. I had to turn lights on with my elbows. I was told not to bother with certain exams because I would mess up the papers. Because you had to write them. I was told all the way through that I would never amount to much. But I stood with that level of sensitivity. And what I'm going to show you is why you sticking with you is worth it. Now, this report is it's a research report that is a study of the future workspace. And I'm a sensitive and I get emotional, and we spend our lives trying to push that down and pretend we're not. And we are, and you know what? There's nothing wrong with it. But this report is based on research from Asia, Europe and North America. And what it says is that we are crossing a line into a new territory of change that's at a level that we are not prepared for. That's normal people, of course. For us, the intuitive sensitive, this new territory is one we've been patiently waiting for. Whilst we've been waiting, we've been criticised for our sensitivity, told that we're unrealistic when we require authenticity, and laughed at for our woo-woo desire for a mind and body focused office environment. Guess who's having the last laugh now? To quote the report, success in the future will be all about quality, humanity, and spirit. Did you ever think you'd hear those words? Why? Because the work environment is changing and nobody can stop it. The new work format by 2030 will be more of a freelance environment. Workers will be able to work when needed. Anything that happens currently in a linear fashion will be automated. Which means the job skills for humans will be very centered around very human skills, which is absolutely ideal for us. All those environments where you've tried but failed to play the necessary politics, and we've all done it, we've all tried and failed to play those politics, and we've all gone with that button, those will become obsolete. The office bully, as an example, will have no place to operate. There will be nothing there to operate from. Why? Because we are coming absolutely to the end of hierarchy. The linear thinking where there is a bottom and a top. And you know, I've just explained that. By 2030, and that's not very far away, there will be no top. Work will be about thinking in circles, creative, collaborative. And the environment created will be that small companies will be able to compete with the large ones, which is something you see, something that they can't do now or they haven't felt able to do. So therefore, that environment that we would thrive in has felt as though it's something that's very distant and very far away. How? Because we're moving into an age where the smaller will leverage what's there, and they will leverage the technology, and you will see environments becoming lean, agile, with the ability to adapt. Guess what you do? Guess what it is that you've been working on for all this time? Guess what it is that's been pushed to the side, told that it's too sensitive? All of these things are you. And this report, which is no little thing that someone has created, this report has 220 experts, professionals, companies, and young people from across the world, and how its research has been put together. And this is what it says. So anyone who is talented, skilled, or that you'd want to work for, okay? Because we're moving in to that age, the age of authenticity. It's here. To quote the study, with the idea of social good comes the important ability to be truly authentic. Did you ever think you'd hear that? And the challenge in major corporations is to understand, what does authenticity mean, and how do you renew and maintain it? Hello? That makes authenticity, being authentic, a learnt skill. Authenticity is a natural skill. One that we, as sensitives, have in buckets. The report, I almost laughed when I saw this, refers to the holistic worker. There is an awakening of human spirit and a belief that work in the future should be joyous and more fulfilling. Really? And how does this happen? Well, robotics and computers will take over many roles. Okay? They will take over a lot of different roles. But in doing that, it leaves room for new ones. And those new ones engage your passion and your desires as an intuitive sensitive, which is why it's important to find who you are. The time where it's normal to have work of purpose, it's coming. It's already on its way, but it was coming thick and fast. Again, quoting the report, currently the job and income is tied. In the future, the job may not be the only one approach, the source to generate income. People may be able to make money out of their hobbies. Hello? All of the things that you've looked at as your ideal, all of the things that you've wanted for a long time, all of those things in those work environments where you've cried about the fact that it doesn't feel authentic, that it doesn't feel like it's a life experience. It feels painful. It feels like something has to be done uncomfortably. Why can't people be authentic? Why can't I do something that I enjoy? I love my hobbies. Why can't they be my income? Education will change, and it will change. You may think it won't, but it will change. Creativity is in. It's in because anything that can be systemized will start to be systemized by things, not people. So education will change. It will have to change to reflect that. Creativity is in. Creativity doesn't mean art. Creativity means people who are sensitive to the experiences of the world. And so is flexibility and freedom. All the things that I hear constantly coming out of your mouth. What do you really want? You want creativity, flexibility, and freedom. The issue is that we're the first generation of the new style. And we've lost our confidence, having been kicked about by the old one. The old style has knocked the stuffing out of us. But it's now your time to step up. If I can, then you can. If I can go from the child who never spoke to the leper, to the person who had to turn on lights with their elbows, who wasn't allowed to, or to strongly consider not participating in a normal standard of things, not for any academic reason, but because the examiners would not be able to read my papers because they were wet. If I can go from being that person to making that effort, because every single thing that's in that report I believed in back then, and all I did was learn how to live it. That's what I do, is I'm here because I want to be here, not because I have to be here. I'm doing exactly what I want. My life and my work is combined, not because it has to be, it's because I like it that way, because it feels nice. It's an experience. It is the experience. And it is something that you may have thought, well, it's okay for her, but you don't know my life. Well, I'm telling you, it's now time to step up. And be proud of yourself. Be proud of being too sensitive. The times that I've had thrown in my face, Heidi, you're too sensitive, are too many for me to recount. And I'm sure that that's been the same situation for you. Who's felt that? Well, it's now time to be proud of being too sensitive and embrace your own inner change. Because it's now that time of transition. As I explained to you earlier, it is that time of transition. It's coming. You can't stop it. Nobody can stop it. And the younger generations don't want it stopped. And they won't have it as the old way. When you start seeing them coming in to the workforce, you will see that change happen in it'll explode. But you are the first in. You're the first of that new generation. And that report was only generated a very short time ago. And there are more than that one. There are more than that one area of looking at, because now having to look at what environments do people want to work in. And they want to work in ones where you are there. You need to embrace your own inner change to prepare for that transition. How do you do that? You develop that internal relationship, because that internal relationship is important. And you hang with this club. As in, you involve yourself with the people who think in the same way as you do. Why? Because it builds your confidence in who you are. I didn't have anyone in my club to hang with, so I created one. I created what I would have liked in those early days of realizing that I had a high level of sensitivity and an intuitive sensitivity that no one understood. And every time I tried to ask anyone about it, I was the woo-woo whack job. Well, all of those things I was saying and doing back then, which I was pulled apart from, oh, you don't want to do that, oh, you don't want to do that, what are you doing with that? Everybody does now, as the norm. Because sensitives feel the flow before it happens. And those things that you've been feeling the flow for before it happens, and you've been wondering when it's going to happen, and wondering, it's happening, but you need to be in your club. And you need to be in your club of other sensitives because it builds your own faith in yourself and your skills and your confidence in being exactly who you are. That you don't need to ever toughen up. That you don't need to be less intuitive or instinctual about things. That you need to follow rules. Who's had that? That in actual fact, that going with what feels right will become right. Because it's the way the world and life is going. And your club is intuitive sensitives. And to put it very simply, together, and I'm going to get all emotional again, we are soldiers of the light. It's been hard work. But we're here. And your level of personal authenticity will get you the work, the purpose that you desire in that new world. Your time, it's not arriving. Yeah, I get all emotional again. It's here. Okay? So you be, always got to have a little bit of humour. You be the cat that got the cream. Excellent. And do it for yourself, nobody else, just for you. A pipe dream to imagine that there is a world for sensitive people. That is it really something that's coming, or is it something that I am hoping rather than actually is. And for my own life, since a very, very early time, I would say that right here would be the very last place that anyone, when I was a child, would expect me to be. No one would have expected me to be sat here talking to you. No one would. We've just seen it. And what I'm about to show you is where all of your efforts have been going and how long it will be before those efforts start to be seen. And they start to be seen in your own world, and they start to be seen as they start to be seen in the outer world. Now, for me, I'm sharing this with you because I was really excited when I looked at this and read it. Because all of those times when I thought, is it really worth it? Is it really? What I'm about to show you is everything that I've been doing. Everything that I've spent the last 20 years doing and being committed to. And stepping over those things that stop you from doing it. And as we've just seen, in one person's bravery to express that true level of vulnerability that remains quiet and silent and unexpressed. But in actual fact, that vulnerability that we have a huge amount of respect for. So what we're going to do is look at the future dynamics. Okay? How the work-life balance will look in 2030 and where you fit in as an intuitive sensitive. So what we're going to do is fast forward to the year 2030, which isn't very far away. Now, expect me at all to do what I do, because I was the child that never spoke. I was the child that was so afraid that my parents thought I was mute. I was the child who had various different things going on in terms of physical things. I was covered in eczema, absolutely covered in eczema, right up to the age of 25. No, probably less, more than that, 25, 26. To the extent where